You know, it's something we do every single day without a second thought. You pop open an app, hit that little triangle button, and boom, a crystal clear movie starts playing instantly. It feels like magic, right? But what's really happening behind the scenes is, well, it's an absolute marvel of engineering. And today we're going to pull back that curtain.
So, let's ask the big question. What actually happens in that tiny, tiny sliver of time, we're talking milliseconds, after you press play? Because in that single instant, an absolutely staggering chain of events kicks off, and it's one of the most complex yet invisible pieces of tech in our world.
I mean, look at this. In less time than it takes you to blink, that video you wanted gets fetched, squished down to a manageable size, shattered into thousands of little pieces, and then sent flying across a global network. And it's doing all of that while perfectly adapting to your internet speed and your specific device. It's a symphony of code and hardware, all working in perfect harmony.
Okay, so let's start with the very first hurdle engineers had to clear. And believe me, it was a big one. The absolutely massive size of video files.
Just think about it for a second. A raw, uncompressed movie is a literal mountain of data. Trying to send that beast over your home internet connection, it would be like trying to force an elephant through a mail slot. It's not going to happen. You'd be waiting for days.
So what was the solution? This brilliant piece of software called a video codec. You can think of it like a super smart editor for video. It looks at a frame, and then at the next frame, and asks, what's different? That wall in the background that hasn't moved? There's no need to send that information again and again, 30 times every second. By cleverly removing all that redundant data, it shrinks the file size down dramatically. And the best part is, you'd never even notice a drop in quality.
And you know, this tech just keeps getting better and better. For years, H.264 was the king, it was everywhere. Then H.265 came along to make 4K streaming possible. But the real game changer right now is AV1. This is what the big players, Netflix, YouTube, Meta, are all using because it's up to 50% more efficient. That means you get even higher quality video while using way less data.
Okay, great. So we've shrunk the file. Problem solved, right? Well, not quite. Now we have a distance problem. How do you get that file from a single server, maybe sitting somewhere in Virginia, to millions of people all around the planet at the same time without a massive, frustrating delay?
The answer is something called a Content Delivery Network, or CDN. And honestly, the best way to picture a CDN is to think of it like a global library system. Instead of everyone in the world having to order a book from one giant central library, the CDN makes copies of the most popular books, or in this case, videos, and puts them in thousands of smaller, local branch libraries all over the globe.
So what does that actually do for you? Well, by having a copy of that movie stored on a server that's physically closer to your house, it just slashes the travel time for the data. It's what cuts down on lag or latency. It means whether you're watching in London or Los Angeles, you get a fast, reliable stream because the data only has to travel a few miles instead of thousands. All right, we've solved the size problem and the distance problem, but there's one final really tricky challenge left. Your internet connection, it's not a constant. It speeds up, it slows down, maybe you walk into another room and the Wi-Fi signal dips for a second. This instability is a perfect recipe for that one thing we all despise, buffering.
See, the old way of doing things, called progressive download, was pretty dumb. It just tried to download one single massive file at a fixed quality. If your internet had a hiccup, well, you know what happened, that dreaded spinning circle. The new way, though, is infinitely smarter. It's called adaptive bitrate streaming, and it's built on a totally different idea, breaking the video into tiny little pieces. This right here is the absolute magic that makes modern streaming work. ABR is constantly talking to the server. It's always monitoring your internet speed, your bit rate, and it's basically saying, hey, things are a little slow right now, send the next piece in a lower quality, or, okay, the coast is clear, let's get the next chunk in glorious 4K. And it all happens so fast and so seamlessly, you never even notice the switch. And when I say tiny pieces, I mean it. For just one 2-hour movie, we're talking about breaking it down into roughly 1,800 individual video chunks. It's not one file anymore, it's a huge playlist of tiny little segments. So here's how that whole dance works. First, as we said, the service will chunk it, breaking the movie into those little 2 to 6 second segments. Then they encode it, creating multiple versions of every single chunk, from grainy low-res all the way up to pristine 4K. Next, your player will select it, checking your real-time internet speed and grabbing the best quality chunk it knows it can download in time. And finally, it's always ready to switch it,
instantly jumping to a higher or lower quality version for the next chunk as your connection fluctuates. It's a continuous dynamic process designed for one thing: to kill buffering forever.
So, let's recap. We've got compression making the files small, CDNs bringing them close to home, and ABR making the playback perfectly smooth. Now, let's put it all together and trace the entire journey, from your click to your screen. The moment you hit play, your device sends out a request for something called a manifest file. That's just a roadmap to all the chunks and their different quality levels. For a super fast start, it immediately grabs the first few chunks at a lower quality so the video starts instantly. At the same time, it begins to monitor and adapt, constantly checking your internet speed. It then starts to fetch ahead, grabbing the next few chunks it needs from that nearby CDN server. Your device's hardware then decodes that data into video and audio. And finally, it plays smoothly, and this whole cycle just repeats over and over and over again, keeping you ahead of the dreaded buffering wheel.
And that's why this quote is so on the money. This isn't just one simple trick. It's this beautiful combination of compression algorithms, global networking, and real-time adaptive software. It is, without a doubt, one of the most sophisticated and complex systems ever built, and it's working for you, invisibly, all the time. So the next time you settle in for a movie night and you press that play button, maybe you'll think for just a second about that incredible, invisible symphony of technology that just sprang to life. It's not magic, it's something way, way more impressive. Just brilliant engineering.